Hello friend, welcome back to my new lecture on basic programming of C Sharp, and there are many points which we have to remember and we have to understand while doing the basic programming of the C Sharp.net. So these are the basics of C Sharp.net programming. The basic input output statement, basically console.writeLine is used to display anything to print on C Sharp.net, and console.system.console.readline is used to input anything on the program of C Sharp.net. And we also use system.windows.messagebox.show function. So messagebox.show, so it will display the output in the formatted pattern. So messagebox is inside the win form, and show function we are running here. Show function, it will display the message, and whatever the message will write here inside this inside the bracket, inside double quotes, it will be displayed on the screen. And here you can see one string variable v1 equals to this some value is written here. So this is message we have passed to v1, and we have one more object, v2. My object is the name of class, and its object is v2 equals to new my object. So suppose we have to print all these two variables. We can print these two variables, and we have to write console.writeLine. First is 0. 0 means the first v1 will be displayed at 0 position. 0 is inside the curly bracket, and second is 1 inside the curly bracket. So v2 will be displayed on 1. So like C language, in C language we use percentage %d for integer, percentage %f for float, and percentage s for string. So we don't have to write the format specifier, just we have to write here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 accordingly. So suppose we have two variables, then we will write here 0, 1. Suppose we have three variables, then we will write here 0, 1, 2. So but this is inside the curly bracket. So v1 will be displayed at 0 position, and v2 will be displayed at 1 position. So we need not to define any format specifier while printing anything. So console.writeLine is sufficient. Rather than writing system.console.writeLine, we can also write here console.writeLine. So suppose we have written here system.console.writeLine. So in that case we have not used, I think we have not used using system in when we are starting the program. So if we are using system, then we will write here only console.writeLine. So these are the optional, and there are some points regarding the reading input. So console.readLine will be used for the inputting, and it will return the line, and console.readLine will return a line of input text as a string. So it will read the data as a string form. So here you can see here string s, and we have one more variable integer I. So s equals to console.readLine. So when this line will execute, it will return a line of text. You can see here it will return a line of input text as a string form. So that whatever we will read, it will be in the string form. So we have to convert it into integer, because we have another variable integer I. So I equals to int.parse. In Java we write integer.parseInt, parseInt, float.parseFloat for converting the float. But we are writing here integer.parse only. So this is the standard function, parse function. So this string is converted into integer. So we can also use double.parse, float.parse. For converting on floats, we write here float.parse. For converting into double, we write double.parse. So these are the different conversion. So we can then use parse and string. Argument of the parse function is the string, to convert the string to desired type. So this is the input statement. Input to input data, console.readLine is used to input data, and we must read it as a string and then convert it to desired type. So initially when console.readLine will execute, it will return a string value, and accordingly we convert it into or we parse it into the type which we are requiring. There is also useful convert class with method such as convert dot to double. So either we'll use this statement double dot parse s, or we'll write here convert dot to double, and we'll write here value convert dot to boolean. We are writing here value, and convert dot to date time. So val is the argument. So this way we are using here convert statement, convert dot the name of function to double, or we'll write here double dot parse function. So this is used for the conversion from one type to another type. And accessibility is also very important in case of the classes, in case of the object-oriented programming of C# and VB.NET. So we have different access specifier, and private, by default the classes are defined as the private type. So if we are not writing anything before the class, then it means by default it is the private type class. And public, private, protected, internal, protected internal are the different accessibility options, different access specifier. And public, suppose we define the class as a public, then it is accessible by the all. And private accessible only containing class, means in which class, in the file where we have defined the private class. So the private class is used only in that file, but not used outside the file, outside the variable also. Suppose we have defined any private variable inside the class, so the variable will be used inside the class, not outside the class. Protected member are accessible the containing class as well as the derived class. Suppose we have defined a variable as a protected type, then it will be used completely in the same class. Anywhere we can use in the same class, as well as we can use the variable in the derived class also, but not other than derived class or containing class. And internal are accessible, accessible to code same assembly. In case when we are defining any variable or any class as a internal, then it will be used inside the whole assembly but not outside the assembly. And protected internal, having this both property, protected property as well as internal property, means protected internal variable or class will be used in same assembly, and it will be used in derived class also, and containing class also. So we have two property, protected as well as internal, in same variable. So classes can be marked as a public or internal. By default they are private. So classes, we can define the class as a public or internal, but class will not be defined as a protected type, and class will not be defined as a protected internal type. So either protected or internal, we can define the class as either public or internal, sorry, public or internal, not private. We cannot, private can be defined also. By default it is private class. So these are the specifier. And you can also see the public access not limited, public are used anywhere, protected used the derived class as well as same class, access limited to the containing class or type derived from the containing class. So which class is deriving the class, so there it can be used. And internal access specifier, access limited to the program, means internal are used inside the assembly, whole assembly. Protected internal, limited to the program or type derived in the containing class, means it is used inside the whole assembly as well as in the derived class. And private, limited to the containing type, means a private variable also only used inside the class, inside the same class where it is defined, and not outside the class. And private class also we can write the class also private. And default access is private, and member for the members, and internal for the classes. So these are the access specifier. And access specifier is very important for the data security, object oriented programming. These access specifier we have learned on C++, Java, and other programming language also, object oriented programming language. So you know the importance, and you know how to use these access specifier in the language. You can also use here in C#.NET also. And read only field, so this is also a very important field. Basically the constant is used for the constant type variable whose value always fixed. So constant only work in the initial value known as the compile time. Suppose we have defined any variable as a constant type, so it is fixed variable, and the compiler will know its value. And the example of constant variable are like pi. The value of pi is 3.14. Its value never changed. The read-only keyword allows a field to be initialized by the constructor. So the difference between constant and read-only. Basically, constant and read-only both are same, but constant variable is initialized, which is known at the compile time, while the read-only variable are defined inside the constructor. So you can see here, read-only keyword allows a field to be initialized by the constructor but not subsequently modified. So this variable cannot be modified again and again, and they are constant variable and they are defined inside the constructor. So you can see here class FOO, and inside this class we have FOO constructor, and here in FO constructor we have defined initialize the variable. So the variable is num user, it is integer type and read only type, and we have mentioned here public variable, and we are initializing this variable inside the constructor. So num user equals to, we are giving as the value we provided, it will be initialized by that value. So these variable, this read-only keyword allows a field to be initialized by the constructor. So it is written here clearly that read-only keyword always allow a field to be initialized by the constructor, and while constant only works if the initial value is known at the compile time. So this is the difference between read-only and constant variable. And now coming on this shielded class, suppose a class is the specifier of the class is shielded. We have written here shielded public class my class. So shielded class will not further inherit it. So but we have inherited this class here in new class. So this is the my class, and my class is inherited by new class. So this statement is wrong statement. It will not work, cannot use the base class, because the base class is the shielded class. So this will fail to compile. So when a class is defined as a shielded class, then this class will not be inherited. So use the shielded keyword to prevent the class from being used as a base class. So in Java we use, in case of shielded, we use final class. Suppose we have defined final keyword before any class, so it means it is shielded class in case of Java. While in C#.NET we have to write shielded keyword to close the class, means class will not further inherited. So this is the program of the shielded class. And now partial class. Suppose the class is too long, so in that case we define the class as a partial class, because you can see here class definition is divided over multiple files. Class is too long and we have to divide the definition of the class in multiple files. Each part is declared as a partial class. So this is mentioned here, clearly mentioned here, I have underlined it. If a class definition is divided over multiple files, class is too long and we are dividing the class into multiple files. So in that case we have to write partial class. Each part or is declared as a partial class. Then each part is declared as a partial class. So you can see here circle class is divided into two parts: partial class circle, partial class circle. So in file 1, in circle CIRC1 file, we have circle file, as well as in CIRC2 file, 2.cs file, we have again circle class. So we have divided class into two parts. First part is in first file and second part is in second file. But we must have to write here partial class. So this is called partial class. So in C#, a class definition can be divided over multiple files. So we can divide the class into multiple files, but this is not possible in other language. C# language is very flexible language, so it is possible in C#. Helpful for large classes with many methods, used by Microsoft in some cases to separate automatically generated code from user within code. So this way we can divide the class into different parts and the classes, long files are divided into two parts. Long classes is divided into two parts by with the help of the partial keyword. And for error handling, exception handling, we can use try and catch block as in Java. So this is the integer, this is integer save division function where x and y are two argument, and we are giving here x by y. Suppose we are passing the value of y is 0, then this exception will generate catch system dot divide by 0 exception. So it is system dot. Suppose we have written here using system, then there is no need to write here system dot. Then we will write only divide by 0 exception and dbget. And here is the message: the system dot console dot write line division by 0 attempted, and before dividing by 0 it will alert us, and it will come back from this statement, and this switch statement will not execute. Otherwise, if we are not giving here exception handling, then it will divide by 0 and the program will send the error, because divide by 0 is infinite. And but using this try and catch block, try exception handling, we can already having the alert of this error. So this is the benefit of the exception handling, and I have also explained this exception handling in other lectures also. So almost same as Java exception handling, because in Java we have try and catch block. In Java we have divide by 0 exception, but here this divide by 0 exception is inside the system class. So now enumerator type is also very important in the basics of any programming. So the enumerator type are defined by enum keyword, enum days. So days of the week are the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Suppose we have these fixed value, like we can define color by as enumerator type. So this type of for this type of values we use enumerator type, and enumerator type has its own importance. So you can see the complete program of this enum days. So enum days of the week, and then we have written here days. Again we have mentioned here the object of the days enum. Day 1 and day 2 are the two object of the days enumerator type, and day 3 is the integer type. So you can see the difference. Day 1 and day 2 are the object of days enumerator type, while day 3 is the integer type. So we have mentioned here day 1 equals to days dot Saturday, day 2 equals to days dot Tuesday. Days dot Saturday means 1, and days dot Tuesday means 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be here, fourth value. And here days dot Friday, because days dot Saturday means Saturday, it will return Saturday on day 1, because day 1 is the object of the day, so directly it will return Saturday on day 1, and Tuesday TUE on day 2. Why in this case we are typecasting here? Days dot Friday means it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6. Suppose it is started by the 0, then it is 6. So days dot Friday will and we are writing here typecasting, so it will convert it into integer, means the 6 value will be transferred to the day 1. So when we will print console.writeLine day 1, then it will directly, day 1 will return Saturday, day 2 will return Tuesday, and day 3 will return, because day 3, in case of the day 3 is an integer type variable, and days.Friday is converted into, it is type through typecasting, it is converted into 6. So it will display 6. So in enumeration type we can manipulate this type of this way. We can print the actual value, actual string, as well as we can convert the string into number also. These are the flexibility in case of the enumerated type, and in the many of the in many situations we can use enumerated type. It is better to use enumerated type in some of the situation of the programming. And Java is a lack of enumerated type leads to use of integer in situation that do not guarantee type safety. So in Java, sometimes it gives the problem during the copying or enumerator type. So type safety problem it happens in Java, and in C sharp. Suppose C sharp, you can see the difference how this happen. So enumerator type in direction is here. So in the direction we have north, east, west, south. So this is again enumerator type, and public we have mentioned here. And how we will use, you can see here, direction wall equals to direction dot north. So direction dot north means this will be copied on, transferred on wall, and its Java equivalent. You can see here. mm, in Java we'll write, suppose we are using this the same statement in Java, same type of the function in Java, then we will have to define the class, public class direction, and inside this class we have public final static integer north equals to 1, and in the second was public final static integer east equals to 2, public final static integer west equals to 3, then public final static south equals to 4. So this way we will define the four variable, and while in C sharp we directly we write enumerator type and direction, and we have four variable and here values also, and we can directly use them. But here we have to define all the variable as integer type, and you have to mention the variable, and you have to write the class. So somehow it is a very little bit tedious method, and then we have written here integer wall equals to direction dot north. Maybe sometime you can see here Java lack of enumerator type leads to usage of the integer in situation and do not guarantee the type safety. So there may be some type safety problem occurs in case of the Java programming where we are using different types here. So this is the way of writing program in C sharp as well as in Java. In Java we are using class, and here we are using enumerator type. So better to use enumerator type, which is very easy in case of in such type of the situation. And now you can see one more some more important steps of the enumerator type. Despite the fact Java version seems to express more, it doesn't, and less is less type safe by allowing you to accidentally assign word to any integer value without compiler program complaining. So sometimes it creates a problem of the type safety, and C# enumerator type 2 string method so that can report their values as strings such as north, and not just an integer. So the same facts are given here, and these are the enumerator type. And this is one more example we have given here: enumerated color and byte. In byte it is red equals to 1, green equals to 2, blue equals to 4, black equals to 0. So byte we have given the unit here, and byte equals to red, green or blue, red, green or blue. So we have mentioned here all the colors and their value. So color C equals to color dot black. So color is a enumerator type and its object is C. So like class we define the object, same way in case of enumerator we define the object of the enumerator. So we have assigning here color dot black means this value, black value. Black is 0, so 0 will be transferred on C, and when we'll write here console dot write line, it will print 0, and console dot write line C dot format, so it will display the format of C. C is a color dot black, so the format of black is black. So the word which is assigned to this 0, it will be displayed here. So 0 and black. So simply we are printing C, then it will display 0. Otherwise, it will format of the 0. The format of 0 is black, so it will display the black. So this is the difference between enumerator type of Java as well as enumerator type of C#.NET. So here also given this code, and there in case of the C#.NET we have this code, and in case of the Java we have this code. But in Java we have some problem of the type safety problem. So that's why C# enumerated is the better option to use such type of to tackle such type of the situation. So now this is all about the enumerator type. Now some more point about the Java and C Sharp. We are comparing the, we are differentiating the Java and C Sharp. Some familiar procedural construct of the Java and C Sharp I am discussing here. So arithmetic, relational, and Boolean operators all are same in Java and C Sharp. The arithmetic operator of Java, relational operator of Java, and Boolean operator of Java are same as the in C Sharp. So you need not to learn and understand in the new way in C Sharp.net. They all are same in Java and C++, as well as in C Sharp also. Do while and while if both are same in Java and C++, and they are used also in C Sharp also. The same syntax is used in C Sharp also. Switch statement like Java except force the break after the cases. So this is little bit difference. And for mathematical function we use math.sin, math.cos, etc. They all are same as in Java as well as in C Sharp.net. And we can use random class also here in C Sharp as well as in Java. So random will generate the random number, random r equals to new random, and r dot next double, r dot next double. So it will display the random double variable between 0 to 1. So any random value it will display, but it will be double format. Next double, next integer will return integer. So integer will be the same. Integer will be either 0 or 1. So that's why we have written here r dot next double. So and this is r dot next 10 comma 20. So it will generate any random number between 10 to 20. So random integer 10 between 10 and 20. So greater than 10 and less than 20. So this way we can develop create a random value. So this is random class. And the parameters passing, now we are discussing about here the parameter passing. So basically in any programming language, call by value and call by reference are very important program. So how to write this call by value and call by reference in C Sharp.net. So you can see here C Sharp support call by value and reference for the value type. Reference type can be can only be passed by reference. So by ref is used for the call by reference. Ref and out keyword are used to specify value parameter as is to be passed by reference. So we have to write here reference ref. So the difference is that out parameter does not have an initial value when method is called. So you can see these concepts in the program also. So here this is program, we have a class FOO class and using system. So inside this class we have a function my method, and here we are passing two parameters. One is out integer out parameter, and second one is the reference integer in out parameter. So we have two variables, one is out and second is reference. So you can see here, so out parameter is and this is the main program, and we have out parameter and second is in out parameter. So out parameter basically the variable defined but not initialized here. So you can see in the previous slide, the difference is that out parameter does not have an initial value when the method is called. So see the out parameter, this is defined by the out keyword. Out parameter is not having any initial value, while in other case in out parameter is having a value. So both ref and out both are used for the call by reference. So but the difference is reference is already having some initial value, and out is not having any initial value. So when we are running this program, so we are writing here for f equals to new fo, we are defining the object of the class, and then we are writing f dot method, f dot my method, sorry, f dot my method, this function we are executing, and we are writing here out parameter means this one, and reference in out parameter means second one. So when we pass these two values here, and this out parameter will be transferred to here, and this in out parameter will be transferred to here, and out parameter having 1 2 3 and in out parameter having equals to in out parameter plus 10. in-out parameter equals to in-out parameter plus 10. In-out parameter, the value of in-out parameter is basic value is 10. So 10 plus 10, 20. So it will it would be written 10 plus 10, 20. So when we will print the value of out parameter and in-out parameter, then it will display the value 1, 2, 3 and 20 value. So this will be the output. So this is call by reference. Basically, this is the example of call by reference. And this is another program. Passing value variable by default refers to a pass by value behavior in Java. So here we have one program, public void main string args, and we have this x equals to 3, and we are passing this x to the foo function. So you can see here public static void for integer a means x is transferred to a, and the value of x is 3 and 3 is transferred here, and again here a equals to 1, as we have transferred 3 to a, but here and again we are initializing a by 1. So when we will print the value of x, then it should print 3 because we have transferred 3 here in this function. So this output of the value 3 because x is passed by value to the method. So we have passed 3 here, and but inside this it has changed, this a is changed, so it should print 1, but it is not printing 1, it is printing 3 because we are passing value, passing the parameter by value. So in case of the pass by value, there will be no change as the change is inside the function. But in case of the pass by reference, when we will change the value inside the function, that change will reflect on the main program. So here in this case, as we are running the program by pass by value, so if any change occurs in the function, that change will not reflect on the main program. So that's why the output the value 3 because x is passed by value to the method, which gets a copy of x value under the variable number name of a. While on the other hand, in next slide you can see here we are passing by reference. So here we are passing by reference. So as we are passing the value of x3 here, and here x the 3 value is transferred to a, and a because x is called by reference and x will be converted into a, and then a is changed by value 1. Initially it was 3 and now its value will be 1. So the change will reflect here and the output will be 1. The output of the value is 1 because we are using here by reference. You can see here ref keyword is used here. So by reference will reflect the change. If any change in the inside the function will reflect on main program. So when we will print the value of x, then it will display the value of x is 1, not 3. Now it will change. After this running this function, it will be changed into 1. So this is called by reference function. So this is same as the program in C language, in C++, in Java. So always we have done call by value and call by reference. So here in C#.NET we use ref tag, ref integer, ref for call by reference, or out tag. We have mentioned here out as well as ref. So out is also used for the call by reference, and ref is also used for the call by reference. So in case of out, we don't have to initialize the value, while in case of the ref we have to initialize the value in main program. So this is the difference, a small difference between call by reference and call by value. And if we pass reference variable object string to a method, we get the same behavior in Java. Java we also the same concept, call by value and call by reference. So call by reference to a variable. So this is another program. Here we are not writing any call by reference, ref tag we are not writing here. This is Java program. In Java we have a variable string variable moo, and this string is passed to this function fo function, public string void fo function, and this string moo string will be transferred to s, and here s is initialized by the cow. Suppose we will print this one. So it will print not cow, it will print mo, because this is not call by reference. However, this string is a reference type, but it will not affect, output is the same as in the main program. So since inside the method 4, the local reference parameter as is set a new object in the memory with the values cow. The original reference is str remains unchanged. So in this case, it will not change. So this is in case of the Java, because this is public static void main. This is the Java code. And now see one more program here. We have mentioned here ref. So again you can see here ref. So, this is not Java program, sorry, this is the C# program. So here not, we have not mentioned here ref. So that's why there is no change reflecting from the function. The output will be mo, so as it is in main program. When we will write here ref str, then it will change, then the change of the function will reflect on the main program. So you can see here, we have mentioned here ref str and string ref as, now we have changed the value of s is cow. So output, we will found the output, control dot write line, in control dot write line we will found the output str. So output is cow. Now this is the reflection. Suppose we have changed the function, the change of the function will be reflected on the main program. So output cow, since 4 is passed to the reference to str. So always we have to use ref tag, ref keyword for call by reference. And in case of the call by value, we don't have to write anything on before the variable. So this is call by reference and call by variable. And finally, garbage collection is C# provide the facility of automatic garbage collection. So sometimes we use finalize function, finalize in the conjunction with the garbage collector, and we can close all the connection, database like database connection, file connection. So automatically it will clean all the object and automatically provide the facility of the garbage collection. So these are the features of object oriented programming C#, and this is the fact, all small facts of basic programming of C#.NET. So thank you guys, thank you very much. I hope that you have enjoyed my lecture, and please do subscribe and share my lecture. Thank you very much.